Good. I always forget if this is, well, no, I don't forget. Good evening, ladies and from the top. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, or rather, I should say, good time of the day you have right now in your time zone where you are living, because over here is 7 p.m., which is kind of late Saturday evening. And as you can see, instead of being somewhere doing things that 2 years ago we were usually, not really, not everyone doing on the Saturday evenings, I'm streaming and you are here watching the stream because today something special will happen. Maybe not really that super special one in the lifetime opportunity, but still this is something. Okay, apparently I have a problem with my OBS one more time. Looks like the driver for the RTX graphic card I have over here, because I'm using the NWN codec, is throwing me some kind of the errors from time to time right now. And this happened after I updated the drivers for my NVIDIA, and apparently this thing is broken, not working anymore. So most probably not today, but in some time I will most probably have to fight with the stream thing because it's super irritating. Where were I? I was in the place that I was inviting you to the stream because today we will be releasing the INAV 4.0. Yes, the next release of the INAV, which currently are happening every more or less 6 months, and I think that this is the good pace for the new releases, new major releases. Because thanks to that we have this, let's say, continuity, and you are not swarmed with the new versions that you have to update, install, and so on. And on the other hand, the time delay between one version and the second version is not that big, so you kind of like start to think that this thing will never really happen, like Betaflight 4.3, which supposedly is happening quite soon. Anyhow, before we will go into the let's release INAV 4.0, the quick information and explanation why this release is 4.0, not 3.2, when we bumped only the minor version. Because right now the INAV is following something called the SEMver, and every time you break compatibility with the previous version, you are supposed to release the major version. And because we added new settings, we removed some of the settings, we broke the full compatibility. This is why we increased the major version of the 3 point something to 4 point something. Then when we will release something that it's not breaking a compatibility, only adds a new feature, then we will increase the minor version. So because I already can tell you there will be INAV 4.1, but we will most probably never release 4.1 point something, because the last digit in the version number is only a build number and we do not care about that at all. So this is the answer to the question that some people already ask, why we moved from 3 to 4, to basically to follow the SEMver nomenclature and have this thing like running. So the rules will be right now. Every time you upgrade from the major version, so for 3 to 4, from 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and so on, you will most probably at least have to selectively copy the CLI dump, because there might be incompatibilities. But if you will be ever updating the minor version, 4.0 to 4.1 and 4.1 to 4.2. I'm not saying that 4.2 will ever happen, or that because there are currently no plans to do that, then there will be no need to update everything, because we have not changed the versioning of the thing. So I hope that, well, this explains everything. I already see that we have quite a lot of people already, maybe not as many as I really wanted, but still 32, and the number is growing. On the other hand, the number of likes is super high, because I already have the 23 likes. So let's hit the button, because we will be releasing the INAV 4.0, and on top of that we will be talking about some of the interesting things, because there are some interesting things happening, like my Cinelifter project that I would like to tell you something about today. or for example, what the hell is happening with Byte. But that's a completely different story. So, hello Adilson, we have Mr. D falling with style, Benedict Kleiner, thank you for joining, Benedict. Benedict, by the way, is one of the newest addition to the INAV development team, and he gets the STM32 DMAs. So basically you have the SD card support on the H7, only thanks to the Benedict. Leslie, Martin, Christiansen, hello. Oh, Mark from Blackist Tech is over here. Damian S, Mateusz D, and Jack Nash is also with us. So what's up, Jack? How's the situation on your side looking like? If you don't know, the Bright Until I Fly, aka Jake Nash, or actually the Jack Nash, aka Bright Until I Fly, is one of the guys that are running the Let's Drone Out Thursday. I think it's Thursday. Yes, it's Thursday's FPV chat, podcast, however we're gonna call it, when they talk about stuff like, for example, FPV and so on and so on and so on. So that's the situation. /7, and nice to see you all over here. So the rules are simple. You type the comments, you drive the conversation. Of course, we have those constant elements in the flow of the chat, and in the stream, one of them of course will be the official release of the INAV 4.0, and if you have any questions, then you type the questions in the chat. If of course you would like me to be sure that I see your question or a comment or anything, you might try to spam it, but I don't like spammers. So, and I would really wonder what happened with the Nightbot, why the Nightbot is not working again. Nightbot, my friend, why are you not really working? Because it's like sometimes it's here, sometimes it's not here. Join channel. So, enter the moderators list, and Nightbot is still not working. Anyhow, I don't think this is really important, but I will have to probably investigate what's happening really with the Nightbot, because this thing was kind of useful, at least from time to time. Let me quickly check something. Approved user, hidden users, because I do have some hidden users on the channel. Moderators, and let me quickly add Nightbot, my friend. And now maybe you will appear over here or not. Okay, so I don't think that we should actually wait for very long, because it rather makes no sense. I will right now, because, well, why not do it right now? I don't want to keep you hanging in the suspense, because I don't think that this is really going anywhere. So let's quickly go to the release process of the INAV. If you don't know already, if you have not watched any of the streams, you don't or never released anything on the GitHub, this might be a first experience that you might see how this is working. So what are we releasing really for the INAV 4.0? Because we are not only releasing the firmware, today I will be releasing also the configurator, and also earlier this week we have released the black box log viewer. Why? Because the black box log viewer is of course the tool you have to use to be able to correctly see the logs of the INAV black box. However, I think question number one, why does it say clean flight? Yeah, that's a very good, so let's mean INAV, okay, commit changes, lovely, so it's no longer clean flight. The INAV Black Box Explorer was released around when? Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, because for the 4.0 we made some extensive changes to how the black box works. And right now in INAV you have the possibility to select the black box group of fields that should appear in the log. So you can conserve some space, but for example not logging in the INAV accelerometer value, because probably you never need it. This is why you have the option now to do it. Everything is described in the release notes on the firmware, so you can take a look. And the INAV Black Box Explorer is available for Linux, Mac OS and Windows, and it's already live. It also reads older versions of the INAV, but I think it's really worth to update to this thing. Next, of course, we will be releasing the INAV configurator. And the INAV configurator is over here. The INAV configurator 4.0. So this version of INAV configurator is intended to be used only with the INAV firmware 4.0. Exactly, because when you have INAV configurator 4.0, you should use it with INAV 4.0. And when we're gonna have INAV 5.0, you should only use it with INAV configurator 5.0. There is a chance that also older versions might be working, but this is not really very much recommended. And this one we will be releasing for the Linux 32, Linux 64, Mac OS. By the way, this is the signed Mac OS file application, so you do not have to make any special changes. Win32 and Win64. I suggest using always Win64 if you are on Windows, because the chance that you still have the 32-bit Windows is rather like, you really would have to have super old PC to be able to do that. Anyhow, so without further ado, let's do it, and let's release the INAV configurator 4.0. This is a pre-release. No, this is not a pre-release, so done. INAV configurator 4.0 is right now official. You can download this thing, you can install this thing. Well, actually unzip, because there is no installer, and this is a decision made some time ago that we do not want to have the installer, because thanks to this you can have multiple versions of the configurators running side by side. And because there's no installer, it's just everything does. You just put it in the folder, double click on it, it's running. Everything is great, fantastic. And if you have not done it already, there is an INAV Discord server link over here in the release candidates, so you can go there. And after starting the INAV configurator, by the way, this is the next release of the INAV configurator, so maybe I should download. No, we will not be doing that today because that doesn't make sense. The last thing that I should do is to merge the release branch into the master branch, and there are conflicts. Interesting. So, there are conflicts. Darren, which version is correct? This one or this one? Soaring, I think the soaring is the correct one. So, because we want to have altitude hold, heading hold, air mode surface, and also soaring over here. And there is no other reference to the soaring. Nope. So that's the only one. Okay. So let's do it like that. Let's do it like that. Let's hit. Yeah. Mark as resolved, commit merged, and the release of the INAV configurator is done. It's ready. We can merge pull request. Done. Outstanding, fantastic, never really better. Cool. We should be proud of ourselves. So that's done. And Brandon Beans, no, we are building live on stream because the process of building the configurator does not take long, because if you have all the files already cached, then it's like 30 seconds per platform. But then if you would like to build the firmware, for example, all the targets, that is like at least a few hours of running this thing, even on my i7 9700K not the fastest maybe, but pretty fast CPU, so it really takes some time. And now I suppose we can go to the INAV releases, and da-dum, something I already mentioned before, INAV 4 is called Red Kite. So every time you refer to INAV 4, you can just say the Red Kite, and everybody should know what's really happening. Oh, Nightbot appeared. Fantastic, outstanding. Nightbot is with us. I missed this dude for the long time. By the way, Nightbot just posted a link to the web page when you can buy INAV t-shirts. How cool is that? So, okay. Let's go to the mix and let's start releasing INAV. No, this is not a pre-release. So, should I push the button? Should I push the button? How do you think? Should I push the button? You have to vote with your feet. No, with your feet. I want to see in the chat if you want me to push the button. Yeah, come on, come on, come on. Yes, push the damn button. Okay, the button has been pushed. So that means that the INAV 4 Red Kite is now officially live, and hopefully there are no bugs. Let me repeat that. INAV 4 Red Kite is live, and hopefully there are no bugs. Because, well, one can really hope that there are no bugs. No, the reality is that there should be no major bugs right now in the INAV release. Why? Because this thing was live for... the release candidates were live for quite some time. We released the release candidate more like the month ago. We can check, because everything should be in the releases. Nobody ever spotted anything major with this, so, and if somebody would spot something major, then definitely we would have something like the ticket, and that was 13th of November. That's more than a month ago, 5 weeks or something like that, so hopefully everything should be fine. Developers are usually flying what they are building, so this is also something that assures us. On the other hand, it's winter here on the northern hemisphere, and majority of the developers are here in the northern hemisphere. I would even have to say that I think everyone is right now Europe based. I'm not sure if we have an active developer right now who is not Europe based. Anyone? No. We have Germans, we have Britons, we have Russians that live in Switzerland, so let's call them Swiss. We have Italians, we have French, we have Portugal, Russia, one more time, and I think really that's all. I think that's all. So by pure coincidence, let's say that the INAV is really European-based flight controller. And no, I don't think that we have any developers from Canada, Muxa HX or something like that. So I don't think so. There was a guy from United States, but he's not active. So I think really that's all. I hope I'm not. There's also people, of course. Oh, Blemish is from Mexico. Okay, Spain, Mexico. So okay, no, that's the reality, but the majority, let's say, that are from the European Europe as it goes. So what next? If INAV 4.0 is released, then what next? Because this is probably also the interesting question. What next for INAV? What next for INAV? Probably the next thing that INAV will have is the INAV 4.1 release that will come probably somewhere in the January. And the major feature with INAV 4.1 will be the updated dynamic notch filter, which will work just like the dynamic notch filter from the beta flight, when instead of tracking one of the frequency peaks, it will be able to track up to 3 independent frequency peaks and thus give you much better filtering of the gyro signal. And that's the theory. I have the code ready. I have that code tested like a few months ago, but because I was not really flying for a very long time, mainly because of the weather, because the weather is awful. It's absolutely abysmal weather right now. In theory, on Thursday, the weather was okayish, but I had to work on Thursday, so I was not able to fly, and as the result, I was not flying since the November 22nd or something like that. So this is really a huge problem right now. And I do have to say that I would like to be able to fly because I have something. I'm finally migrating to 6S. I decided that since majority of my 4S packs should be replaced because they are not in the best condition right now, then instead of buying new packs, then I might just buy new packs, 6S instead of 4S, and new motors, because also at least some of my motors are, let's say, they are not in the perfect condition, and as the result the bearings are off, so they are rattly, so I might replace motors and because ESCs, all the ESCs are fine, motors and packs, and migrate at least some of the fleet to the 6S. And I do have a lot of motors right now on my desk, because on my desk over here I have 8 Emax motors. Here you see this is 8. Well, actually you see 6, but in total it's 8, because those are motors for my Cinelifter I'm building. But this is a topic that I will cover independently. So there I have a lot of ESCs for the Cinelifter, because if you have 8 motors you have to have a lot of ESCs. And I do have to say I have a lot of flight controllers of different kind over here. Those things are almost like multiplying over here. And because between after the Christmas I have few days of the vacation, I do intend to put everything together. And I don't even want to open the drawer, because I have like and even more Emax motors. I will have a lot of soldering during the Christmas to put everything together and make everything flying. Anyhow, that's the plan about the Cinelifter. It's slowly in progress. I will not show you any renders because I have not really progressed with the renders. But the goal is to have 7-inch Cinelifter. So it's not really a Cinelifter yet, to have those 8 motors to be able to carry heavy weights, because I have a plan. I have a few analog cameras, yes, analog, not digital, but the analog cameras, attach some servo, and I will be cruising and making pictures with the SLR, and even twin lens things. Wait. Or maybe even I will put something like that on my Cinelifter. This is the Liubitel 166. It takes the 120 format of the film over here. Of course it's manual, so I'm not sure how I'm gonna do the winding of the shutter, but do the one, connect everything, and then servo, click, one picture, then you land. And this is how am I supposed to open this thing? I don't remember when was the last time I opened the visor. You see, you can look into the there's the okay, there's the thing. Okay, you cannot see really anything over there, but Years ago, I was into photography and I have those magical things over here. So maybe something like that will be flying on the Cinelifter. Why? Why not? Probably not, but I think you know where I'm going. I also have some automatic analog cameras, so maybe that who knows? Who knows? Everything is really really possible, and why not to give it a try? King of Jester asks, how heavy is that thing? Let me find the scale. Yeah, the scale. So let's. But it's not that heavy. It's mostly free air inside. So 600 grams, 615 with the belt. So like I said, it's not really that heavy because it's a good old technology from the 80s. This camera is probably like 40 years old. I have also other analog 40 years old analog cameras from Russia. I have FET 5B and other. Anyhow, yes, and just like Mark says, it's the same weight as the next as the next GoPro. Probably flying with the GoPro 10 is not great. I love my GoPro 10. I really do love my GoPro 10 as using this for the camera, because since basically September, whenever I was going out, I stopped carrying the big camera. You see me over there, because yeah, it's cool, but it's big and heavy. You need a tripod. With the GoPro, you just like keep it in your hand, super nice, and with the proper microphone, it really works like that. So absolutely no problems over there. Oh, big boost FPV Moin. I love the Moin. I really do love the Moin. By the way, for all the hamburgers, Hamburger, I mean the people from Hamburg. Somehow, since the new year, I will be kinda like the Hamburgish connected, because the company I'm working from, which is the Berlin-based, earlier this year merged with the different companies from Hamburg. So now we have offices in both Berlin and Hamburg. And since the new year, I'm starting to work with the Hamburg office. Of course, everything will be 100% remote. I don't think I will be going to work in the Hamburg office, because I think if over there the team is like fully remote, but my connotations with Hamburg will be higher than before. It's no longer Berlin, but also Hamburg. And maybe, I don't know, they will invite me. Oh, Paweł, come to us because we're gonna have a nice party. Then yeah, I'm going Hamburg. I was in Hamburg, I think, 2019, by the way. Yeah, somewhere like 2019. Pretty nice city. I liked the waterfront. Cool. Really, I like how it looks like. I was not really impressed how it looks like after you go away from the waterfront, but the waterfront was absolutely fine. Love that very much. Okay, Ippo FPV asks, would we be able to save Autotune settings with the DJI FPV goggles with this release? No, not yet. But you can always use the stick combination to save the settings. No, it will not happen if you have not disarmed. But there is a stick combination that saves the settings. I think it's the both sticks to the inside. I think so. So this is on, but not sure when. Let's say that the issue with the DJI settings is not really there yet. Maybe one day, but not there. And Muxa HX, are you far from Hamburg? To the Hamburg, I have like what, 400 kilometers. I'm currently in Poland, so no. But really, honestly, how far is it from Hamburg to Szczecin? Let's see. I would say something like 400. Hamburg. So we will be going now. How to use those maps? Okay. And now I want to. Okay. So I want to go to Szczecin, okay, from Hamburg. So how far? 400 kilometers by car. So yeah, so far, not far, depends really how it looks like. So yeah. Okay, so enough with the Hamburg and enough with that kind of the stuff, because why not? Big Laner Benedict, have I checked HTX yet? No. I want it, but then I have no time. Honestly, recently everything that's happening in my life, the time is the main essence, and sitting down on this topic and like flashing this thing and fighting. For me, the radio, to be honest, is a tool. So the tool has to work, and because right now my tool works pretty great, I'm not really missing any features, so there is really no need for me to migrate to HTX, because why should I? There are no features I know that I really would like to have it. So not really. It will happen sooner or later. Only, for example, to be able to record the video. But I don't really feel the much need to do so. Firpofra, updating from 4.0 RC2, is it advisable to completely delete all settings and start from scratch, or can it be avoided? If you are moving from RC2 to the final 4.0, just copy paste all the diff result of the CLI and go flying. There are no changes. However, in case of some of the, but if you have this thing already flashed, you can probably even flash without full chip erase and just go flying. But my advice is to make a diff, or at least dump of all the settings you have right now, flash with full chip erase, restore the settings, and it should work absolutely fantastic, no problems over there. Let's see what we had in the chat in the last few minutes. Blackest Tech found the bug. Yeah, the weather is awful, and things are happening here, things are happening there. So INAV 4.0. Okay, so INAV 4.0 INAV 4.0 is basically out, and here is the list of the best features of the INAV 4 Red Kite. By the way, the list was chosen by me completely not at random, but this is my extremely subjective list, so different people might have different options, but the best feature of INAV 4 are. Let's begin with the rate dynamics. Rate dynamics is like the name suggests, this is the additional dynamics added to your rate system. It acts almost, it's not really a PID controller, but has some elements of the PID controller, and modifies how your input is transferred into the set point for the PID controller. And with the help of the rate dynamics, you can modify your, let's say, flying style, or rather the response of the quad. Rate dynamics is not something new, it's with us for I think like 2 years now, almost 2 years. It was developed for the EMU flight, and the people connected with EMU flight likes the rate dynamics very much. Right now, after some trial and error, it's coming to INAV. In the release notes, you have some of the examples how the rate dynamics might be looking at, and if you are aware of how rate dynamics are working for EMU flight, it works exactly the same for INAV. However, some of the names of the settings are slightly different, but besides of that, it's absolutely almost exactly the same. So that's definitely a good thing, because like I mentioned, at least for a few times, people seem to, at least EMU flight people seems to like rate dynamics, so why not? The next thing that comes with INAV 4 is finally the support of the SD card on the STM32H7 flight controllers. Not fully, because right now INAV supports only the SD card working in the SDIO mode, but luckily this basically solves the problem of the SD card support on probably the most popular H7 right now, which is the Matek H7 43. Bear in mind, it's not yet working for the different modes of the SD card, like for example on the Holybro Kakuti H7, which uses the SD card mode of the SD card, however that sounds. Hopefully this thing will be supported in the INAV 4.1, which hopefully will be released in January. The next interesting feature of INAV 4 is something called the deboost 2. The deboost is in INAV for at least a year, and it's the D-term scheduler. Previously, it was working in a way that every time you move the stick rapidly from the center position to not the center position, it was boosting the D-gains to give you a smoother response of the quad. And by the way, this is working only in the multi-rotor drone mode. However, after some time ago, we had the leak of the Flight 1 Falco X code. Turned out that they are doing things in a slightly way. So, with the INAV 4.0, there comes the deboost 2. This is not the Flight 1 sim mode. This is very important. This is not even close to being a sim mode. This is only the utilization of the idea of the sim mode. And the idea in the sim mode is every time you are making a rapid movements with your stick, we are not raising the response of the D-term, but we are damping this. Thanks to this, during the rapid stick movements, feed-forward control derivative is able to do this thing, but at the same time, the D-term is not opposing the change enforced by the feed-forward. So, when the quad is moving fast, we are increasing the gyro, the D-term authority for the PID controller, but on the very beginning and the very end of each maneuver, the D-term is damped so that the response is just, well, it just responds quicker and faster to your movement. By the way, the defaults are, let's say, conservative, because now the D-term with the deboost 2 is able to play between half to 1.5 of the normal values, but you can raise those values to give your quad wider response envelope. If you are into the snappy responses and the very fast changes of the rotation rates, then you might go with the lower boundary of the deboost, even as low as 0.1, 0.2, and check how this thing is behaving. By the way, I do like the deboost too. It really flies much nicer when you are doing the flippity floppy around the tree. So yes, you might really want to give this thing a try. The next new feature is the Soaring mode, and the Soaring mode is the Soaring mode for the gliders, especially not powered gliders, because can a glider that is powered, is a glider doing the powered phase? That's the interesting question. Anyhow, up to until INAV 4, the gliders without motors running were kinda on the verge of really working well with INAV. Why? Because INAV, when the navigation mode position hold and the altitude hold was enabled, was trying also to keep the desired altitude. And because it was doing this, the glider without motor cannot really keep the altitude if it's not inside of the thermal. Now, what was happening? It was usually just increasing the angle of the attack, and as the result, it was going down even faster, even to the danger of the stall. With the Soaring mode enabled, there is a change of the behavior, because right now, when you have a glider with the Soaring mode enabled and you enable the position hold or the cruise, mode, INAV will not try to control the altitude. The glider will be allowed, basically allowed to slowly lose the altitude, just like the physics enforces this thing to lose the altitude, and as the result there is no danger of going into the stall as the angle of attack is constantly increasing. So glider users should be kinda happy with what Soaring mode offers. I hope so, because I never tested this mode, mainly because, well, I do not have any gliders right now. You know, to be able to test a glider, you have to have the glider. Maybe the drift, but I was only flying the drift once this year. And by the way, I'm kind of limiting the numbers of airplane I have right now because I had too much. The next interesting improvement is the improvement in the dynamic gyro notches. INAV is catching up on this development beta flight. It's not yet multi-notches for one axis, but the matrix filter present in the INAV since the 2020 has right now much higher resolution. That means it can pinpoint to the correct frequency detected on the gyro signal much more precisely, and on top of that, the setup of this thing was greatly simplified. You do not longer have to worry about the range or anything like that. All you have to really set for the matrix filter is the Q factor, which is the, let's say, the thrust level for the gyro, and the width of the notch that is applied. The higher the Q, then the notch is more narrow and attacks only a very specific frequency or a band of the frequencies, and the mean frequency that as low as this notch is allowed to go. Every other settings for the dynamic notches are gone. It's simpler, faster, and like I mentioned, it has more than twice the resolution. That means the correct frequency which it should attenuate can be found with twice as much of the precision. And believe it or not, this is extremely good news. And finally, there are two changes to the INAV nav engine, and they are connected with the missions. Because when we are talking about the INAV, one of the killer features of INAV is the ability to run the missions without having to have a PhD in the ArduPilot. The first of the features is something called the multi-mission. Right now you have a possibility to store in the EEPROM memory more than one mission, like for example 3 missions, and only select the correct mission before arming to execute this mission on the fly. So if you are doing INAV missions, either with the multi-rotor or with the aeroplane, and you have to upload new missions all the time because you are doing something else and something else, right now you don't have to. There is a way to just upload multiple missions. Of course, the total number of waypoints in all the missions combined still has to be below the threshold, and I think the number is 120 waypoints right now, but you can choose which mission will be executed before you arm, and this is kind of like useful for those cases, I suppose. And the second interesting feature is the on-the-fly mission planner. You can record waypoints when you are flying just by switching the switch assigned to the record waypoint flight mode in the INAV configurator. And after you land, your mission will be stored in the mission format. So you can export the mission, you can modify the mission. So this is useful when, for example, you are doing some kind of the repeated flying over the field, because this is, for example, your job or something like that. And for the first mission you always had to like sit with the map and like design everything. Now you can just fly the mission manually for the first time. When you are making a turn, just flip a switch to record new endpoints, land, save, and then reuse the mission as often as you would like this thing to be used. So, and those were my favorite features of the INAV 4.0. Not all, definitely not all, because the full list of the changes is much longer, but those are my personal picks, and I hope you like them too. And by the way, I'm Paweł Spychalski. Thank you very much for watching and happy flying. I'm still recording videos for the next week. Yeah, I'm still recording videos for the next week. No, the reality is that I have very little time recently. And because recently I have a very little time, I'm kind of trying to conserve as much of this as possible to, let's say, to catch the birds with something. I don't know how this idiom is in English, but you know. So, and just the information for you, there will be no videos between Christmas and the New Year. I'm taking that week completely off. No new content, no nothing. I'm just like soldering the motors. I'm just soldering the pile of the motors I have everything, and hopefully really resting. So, Cobra, hello man, nice to see you. Calabres 221, Paweł, is the Byte OSD implemented in 4.0? No. The guys that are working on the Canvas mode for the Byte have not proposed the pull request yet. Hopefully this will happen soon. Who knows? Let's hope it will happen, because it will be definitely a nice feature. So INAV 4.0 comes without the Canvas mode yet. On the other hand, anybody heard anything about the DJI Canvas mode? Because something like in the June, August, July, somewhere there, the Cadix kind of announced in one of their posts of the Facebook that they are kind of working on the Canvas mode for the DJI goggles. Anybody heard any update on that, or the idea just died because of the reasons? Because I heard nothing, I saw nothing, I heard nothing, and to be honest, the DJI Canvas mode would be actually super awesome. Oh, and the idiom was two birds with one stone. In Polish, this loosely translates to catch two birds by their tails. Any Poles over here? How's the sroka in English? Magpie. No, the Australian magpies, but the magpies. To catch two magpies by their tails. Oh, this is this idiom. This is the idiom. Mechaniker asked how about some live streaming while working on the Cinelifter. I cannot stream work on the Cinelifter because I don't have the frame yet. I don't have it. I have not finished designing, and I have no idea if I will be able to mill the frame until end of the year, because I don't have the design. So how can I get it milled? I hope that my friend from the city where I'm living, from Szczecin, Mikołaj, będziesz coś ciął w najbliższych tygodniach? Maybe Mikołaj will be able to help me. Maybe not. If not, then I will have to outsource this thing. But maybe I will stream the updates to the other stuff I have, because I have motors to replace and other things I have to do with other stuff. So maybe that, but I cannot really promise anything at the King of Jester thinks that DJI Canvas mode will never happen. Why? I don't think this is not technically possible. But yeah, and Cobra asked if Mikołaj will cut. I'm not sure if we are talking about the same Mikołaj, because Santa Claus is Mikołaj in Polish, so maybe it's the Mikołaj, yes, Mikołaj. from Szczecin. Mikołaj from Szczecin. You know Mikołaj? I know Mikołaj. He's cutting me some carbon from time to time. He's a cool guy. And by the way, Mikołaj is one of the very few people that actually work in the drone industry. He's working for the company that is doing some bigger drones, and they are like, he's going places piloting those drones, doing some stuff. So he's, yeah, so, okay, Mikołaj does not know. Cobra doesn't know Mikołaj. Okay, okay, that was very specific. And Cobra, to answer your question about Omnibus F4, is the beds enough to drive servos? No. Don't drive servos from this Omnibus F4 board. This voltage stabilization is just not enough to handle servos. And servo, believe it or not, when stalled, even those cheap plastic ones can pull like half an amp or even slightly more, and if you have two of those running at the same time, they will just kill it. So you have a separate one. So I don't think this is really happening. And by the spec it's 3 amps. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, and how big the choke of that is. Now the thing is that on top of that, the servos can be quite noisy, and this is, if I remember correctly, maybe I can, I can show you something, because I always think that showing something is the interesting thing. So from time to time I use this tool called Miro. This is not the advertisement of any kind for the Miro, but this is, I think, quite cool tool, and you can sketch and do some interesting stuff. I'm using, for example, from time to time Miro to make some charts for the channel and so on and so on. So how usually this is all connected? If we take that this, let's say, is the battery, and we're gonna call this thing red, so this is VBAT. No, maybe white background, because this is all and lovely. Okay. I don't think this is working like supposed to. Okay. Okay, here's the VBAT. Then below the VBAT, we're gonna have the first back. We're gonna have at least the 5-volt BEC. Why like that? Because the process of dropping the voltage from one value to the different value is actually quite not complex, but not super efficient, and it's super hard to find one chip that is able to drop you from any voltage to any voltage. This is why usually how it's happening. There is a mine back that is dropping from current input, either this is 6S or 4S, to 5 volts, and then only after this this thing you have the 3.3 volts back, and this is not the end, because also usually at this moment the main CPU, the STM32 is also connected to this one. And now, if you connect servos, or a servo, or a lot of servos over here to the servo, and then you're gonna have another servo over here. If anything happens to this first battery elimination circuit, you lose the stabilization for the STM32, and everything like goes down. So this is usually the voltage elimination, the battery elimination circuit you do not really want to heavy load, because there are just limits. What, for example, is usually happening on the good quality wing design boards is that they have this kind of duplicated, because there is usually one voltage stabilization circuit that serves the STM32 and every other part of the electronics, but the servos then are not really connected to this one. This means that we have two independent ways of dropping the voltage from the input, 4S, 6S or whatever, And even if something goes wrong with, for example, here, and there is a lot of noise from the servos, because like I mentioned, the servos can be super noisy, then this is not propagated to the other battery elimination circuit that drives the flight controller actually, and thus it's just better, safer, and makes much more sense to work with this thing like that. So, and King of the Jester says that if they wanted, they could have done it already, and we are talking about the DJI Canvas Mode. Probably yes. Probably if someone decided, okay, let's just do it, then they would do it. And this kinda aligns. I'm I'm pretty sure that this is technically possible. There is really nothing that prohibits them. But some few months ago, when I made a video about the Canvas mode coming to the DJI, I said that this might not be trivial because it basically changes how the OSD is applied everywhere, and thanks to that, it might be not trivial. And I think my just argument just got proven that this is not trivial, mainly because it's all about the place when currently the OSD is applied, because currently the OSD is applied in the goggles, because the telemetry is downlinked to the goggles, and then the goggles apply this on the screen. If this was supposed to happen with the Canvas mode, I'm not sure how doable it will be to do it in the same way, because then they would have to have much more of the bandwidth to transfer the information from the flight controller to the goggles. So they would have to rework the air protocol, and this is kind of getting expensive. And if they would like to apply the OSD in the air units, then the question is, how simple is that to do? Because this is in theory the same electronics, but we don't know if the ASIC they have right now can be easily switched to the compression and overlay any kind of the video LOSD elements on the video going from the air unit down to the goggles. So maybe this is doable. Maybe there is yeah, 2 amps, it lots. 2 amps are a lot. Yes and no. If the servo stalls because of something, it really can pull quite a lot of the current. I will not be looking for my current meter right now, but when I was playing, because a few months ago the servos in my flags died, and back then one servo was pulling 1.5 amps, and it was small servo. I don't remember the brand, but it was small servo. Still, it was pulling 1.5 amps, only one servo. So you know how it is with the, yeah, in ideal conditions. Yeah, the ideal conditions are one thing, and non-ideal conditions are completely different things. But okay. What else? What time is it? Oh, it's only 1 hour. That kinda was fast. 1 hour, and in 1 hour we only released the INAV, configurator, had a talk, I showed you some graphs. Well, still even the small wing, even the small 9-gram servos can pull quite a lot. I would not do it. I would not do it because I don't think this is a wise. I would just have the separate small battery elimination circuit and just don't worry about that. This is not the super fresh news, because this kind of appeared last week. But apparently, Shark Byte has nothing to do with Fat Shark anymore. Because last week or even 2 weeks ago, the Fat Shark announced that if you have any technical problems with the Shark Byte, they cannot even replace it to you because they are no longer working on this thing. They killed this project on their side, and now the DVM, which translates to DVMath, is handling everything, and they agreed to take over the project and kinda, well, let's say, handle the customer support for all the customers of the Shark Byte. And this was already, I think, discussed in at least a few places, but I think that the consequences and the prognosis based on this information that the Fat Shark generally gave up on the Shark Byte system are much more severe than many people assume. Because it's not only about the fact that Fat Shark no longer thinks that the Shark Byte is the viable business for them. That means the costs are much greater than the prognosis gain, the amount of units sold, but also says a lot about two other things. One is the financial condition of the Fat Shark company itself. I don't think that Fat Shark, which was a year or 2 years ago bought by the Red Cat company, this is a completely different story and I have a video on that topic. I just don't think that the alternative digital FPV system to the DJI one, they believe it's a viable business. Because if this was the viable business, then they would not pull the plug because this thing costed a lot. That was not cheap. Of course, we don't know who mainly sponsored the development of the Shark Byte. Now the HDZero, we have to assume that Shark Byte was kind of like only one of the players in the game, and actually the DVMath sponsored majority of the development. Still, if the Fat Shark, aka Shark Byte, does not believe that this is a viable business, then maybe really it isn't a viable business, and maybe, well, there is just not enough of the market to have two competitive digital FPV systems. And the other aspect of that is we kind of should ask ourselves a question of the financial condition of the Shark Byte, of the Fat Shark. I'm always mixing those, not always, today mixing those two. How well this company right now stands, and are there any money for the development of the products of the Fat Shark? Because anybody seen anything new from the Fat Shark lately? Like new goggles? There was HDO2 and that stopped. I know that they had those bigger box goggles with the Shark Byte support, but this kinda died. They are no longer doing anything with that thing. So what's really going on? Are they only drained for the name, or are they doing any development over there? But finally we come to the question of what is really the market condition of the FPV. Because if the Fat Shark is kind of backing out of the whole idea of having the competition to the DJI digital system, which by the way right now also has the Runcam and the Foxeer and the Cadix on board, then I do have to assume that my prognosis from some time ago kinda is correct. That the market is just too small to support DJI and something else. Yes, it can have the DJI and analog, okay, because the analog has super low entry level because those are off-the-shelf components. You don't have to invest in anything and convince user to use yourself because it's just there. But there is just not enough of the space in the market to have two digital systems. At least this is assumption of the Red Cat and the Shark Byte. We do know that the DVMath is still doing something, and the HDZero is kind of move here and there and kind of advertise, and there are users which want to use the HDZero. But I'm not sure how this is popular among the community, not some power users and the tech users and the users that are kind of like, let's say, sponsored to do it. Yes, I know racing and stuff like that. Okay, racing. But the fact that the few racers are using this thing on the races doesn't mean that the people, the majority, 99% of the users which never started in the FPV race, are really willing to move from analog to the HDZero. I don't know. I personally do not know anyone who is using HDZero or Shark Byte, Fat Shark Byte. So this is my take on the whole situation, and this really doesn't look very good for either Fat Shark or the hobby itself. Yes, I'm grumpy. It might be only pessimistic Paweł talking right now, but I don't think I'm much off on the topic. Really, no. Yeah. So, and what do you think? How far am I off? What's happening? Maybe you have other opinions on the topic. Maybe Paweł is just talking complete crap and bullshit and does not know what he's really talking about. That could be. That could be. Who knows? Julio Cesar Matias. Hello, mate. Hola. I would have to say. Oh, and even Steve is with us. Hello, Steve. Oh, sorry. Nice to see you, man. So, okay, let's read the comments because Calabres 221, no, I don't think we changed anything for the position hold performance. It stayed like it was. So, no, I don't think so. But okay, if it's better, then it's better, definitely. This is the comment from the Mark Hoffman, aka Blackest Tech. It looks like Fat Shark is dying. DJI consumes one part of the market, and Skyzone and Yachin grab the analog part with better and more affordable goggles. And if Fat Shark is not pushing into the other segment, they will lose big time. And majority of the fixed wing pilot also prefer analog still. Yes. When year or 2 years ago I made a video when I said the Red Cat bought the Fat Shark, I kinda was pessimistic and say that at least people got the impression that no, you are too pessimistic. They are not there to drain the brand. I think they are not. I think they are. They are, and I was not overly pessimistic. And the Red Cat really like is draining the brand of the Fat Shark, not putting anything into the investment. I think they just started with the. I think they were consumed by Red Cat when they were already in the process of the working on the Frostbite back then. So this is how it goes. And from my perspective, I think they are dead company right now. They are a zombie company. Yes, maybe they are manufacturing something, maybe they are not manufacturing something, maybe they have only stock of something and they are trying to sell this thing and people are not buying and so on. The market is getting smaller and smaller, and if I would have to choose the goggles right now, those would not be the Fat Sharks for sure. And most probably I will be selling my HDOs to quite soon. Because it turned out I'm flying analog like once every like quarter or something. I decided that just the simple analog converter, when I just plug in the rapid fire into this thing and connect this thing with some wires to the FPV goggles, to the DJI goggles, it's just enough. I really do not have to have a separate set of goggles to use it like once every 2 months, because last time I used my analog goggles when I was playing with this thing, the 180 from Darwin FPV, so this teeny tiny thing, and that was in November. And then I will be probably using this thing maybe now when I will be building this 3D printed, because I'm finally building this thing. And maybe with my drift, Who knows? Maybe not with the drift. So really, like, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. I have a suggestion. This is from 123 AMG. OpenHD. There are a couple of problems with the OpenHD. And the problem number one, it has to be available everywhere so that you can buy it without having to build it yourself. And you do not have to have the Raspberry Pi or the webcam or anything. If the OpenHD starts coming in the small video transmitter and the small camera and the small receiver, that makes sense. That makes sense for the general users. If, however, still the OpenHD is this, okay, build this thing with the Raspberry Pi, with the Logitech C920 connected somewhere, no. Nobody will be using that. Maybe some crazy people that just like to give it a try, but it will not be used among the general population, because why? I'm not the general population. I'm the power user of the FPV. I'm the early adopter of the technologies, and I'm using like super strange things. And every time I look at OpenHD, I look like, okay, this is interesting. Yeah, I have no time to play with that crap because it's just I don't have time. If I would be very much into this thing, maybe, but yeah, I know that some people, like, someone designed a one board for everything, but this is not the way to go. This is not really like the way to go. It has one thing is to have a product. The second thing is to sell the product. And who's selling OpenHD? Nobody. So nobody like doing this thing. Yeah. Colorless HDZero cameras have sold out in minutes at launch and is very popular. And this is a good sign, because exactly why? Only the fact that you was able to sold a batch of your product at launch can be either a good thing and a bad thing, because it's a good thing that you have some traction, and apparently you do not try to sell a product that nobody wants to buy. But look at this from the perspective of me. Let's say that after the first batch was sold, I would like to go into HDZero and I would like to buy the cameras. Can I? No, because there is no second batch. There is nothing in the market. So will I wait? Because I love to wait for products that nobody knows when they will be on the market. Or I will just scratch my head. Okay, maybe I should buy the competition. 50-50. Either like that, either like that. Then another question, why the first batch was so small that it was sold out in minutes? Because there are really millions of people, or the first batch was like 500 cameras? And why only 500? Because they underestimated, or they were afraid that there is not much of the demand. So, it really depends on how you look at this thing, and only the fact that something is a good product doesn't mean it will be a general success. You need more. And I'm really not convinced that it has more. And definitely OpenHD does not have it more. OpenHD needs a huge company to push it forward. And let's not even try to compare this thing with the ExpressLRS, because the whole idea of the ExpressLRS is only a firmware. It's not related to the hardware. and the hardware that is required to run ExpressLRS is super cheap. You can even build it yourself. There is not really a super complicated, even technical factor for the ExpressLRS transmitters and the receivers. If you have basic knowledge of the electronics, you can design your own transmitter and the receiver within a day or two if you don't know anything. If you are, let's say, up into STM and ESPs and so on, you can design and start manufacturing your own hardware within really minutes. It's super simple. This is not what's happening for the video transmission for the FPV. Just the entry level is so much higher for the video FPV comparing to the ExpressLRS that you cannot really compare those two with one. And there is already a third batch of the Foxeer Digi site, and I read somewhere that they recalled one of the batches. Yeah. So, but okay. But okay, let's say that I'm grumpy. I'm old. No, I'm not. I'm grumpy. I like to criticize stuff, but usually I am correct. I don't want to brag too much, but I have a nose for this kind of things, and it's a gift. It's a gift. I'm special. It's not a compliment, but I'm special, and very often I just I'm very rarely wrong about this kind of the stuff. I'm kind of good at estimating and kind of good at. I'm sometimes wrong, but for example, at my work, we are rolling out a kind of big project connected with authentication, authorization, and keycloak, JWT tokens, in kind of interesting stuff. And looks like my super pessimistic comparing to others estimation of when we will be able to have this thing done was the correct one. Mine, the pessimistic one. I listen to Uncle Paweł. But okay, as a news, I'm also working right now, as I just started to work on finally something that might, because I have not tested this yet, might want you. No, so in a different way. From the start, STM32H7 do not really give you anything that you need right now for the RC FPV hobby. Because even F405 and F722s have enough of the computational power to have everything. However, because of the fact that the H7 are so much faster, they sooner or later will open the window for something that F405 and F722s are not really capable of. Some super fancy filtering and other features that you cannot just run them on F405 because it's too slow. Right now, when you buy H7, you do not really buy this thing for its performance because there is nothing that will benefit you from the fact that the CPU is idling for longer, but from the fact that there are more outputs and the newer design and the flash is not limited and so on. The extra CPU performance, it's nice, but it's not giving you anything. What if we could use this extra CPU performance of the H7 for anything good? And so I have the idea. I have the idea to utilize the DSP part of the H7 to check if running the Fourier transformation, playing with the spectrum result of the Fourier transformation, because the result of the Fourier transformation, it translates the time domain signal into the frequency domain signal, removing something because if you remove some frequencies, they are gone, and then running the inverse Fourier transformation, which makes it a filter, will it have any benefits over the traditional filters we are running right now? Because the traditional filters we are running right now, they basically only allow to signal to grow or drop without some of the boundaries depending on the cutoff frequency. So the full DSP processing on the gyro utilizing the extra computational power of the H7, will it work? What I know already that it's time expensive, because it takes a lot of the CPU. However, because you do not really have to run it at the 8 kilohertz, because yeah, it's nice, but of the extra processing power right now, the computation of everything that's required to be executed for even 8 kilohertz loop time, H7 does it in like 20 or 30 microseconds from the 125. So you have plenty of time to do other things. Maybe it will somehow work. Who knows? I'm experimenting, I'm playing, I'm checking if this thing is doable. What I know already, this will not be a very selective filter. That means rather you will not be able to say, okay, cut me off everything from the frequency of the 123 hertz. No, it will not work right now like that, because we are doing the discrete transformations, and that means that the resolution depends on the time you spend making the computation. Because if, for example, you are putting the data, you are analyzing the data with the frequency of 1 kilohertz, that means that you can only represent the waveform up to 500 hertz. And then if you, for example, have 64, you divide the time domain into 64 periods. That means that 500 divided by 64 gives you, and this one more time, by half, gives you the really not the best resolution. So most probably what will be possible for this filter to, let's say, okay, now cut me off everything about 250 hertz, okay, cut me off everything above 125 hertz, but not really more resolution to the mix. I hope during the Christmas break I will be able to make the proof of concept of the code. I hope so. And maybe then we will know if it finally makes sense to have H7 or really not that much. Who knows? What do you think about the idea to finally put H7 into the use? So, like I said, I'm not bored. I have no the time. Ay, 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 ay. Okay, let's see what's happening over here. Oh, okay, we have the interesting comment. Calabres 221, flying INAV feels like emu flight on 4.0. Very, very impressed. Yes. You might think of the INAV of the emu flight or steroids. No, probably the flight performance, not the flight performance, the way that PID and the filtering is working in INAV is right now closer to the emu flight, because we have the Kalman, we have the Smith predictor, we have what? No, that's all. We have Kalman and the Smith predictor. Because the PID is different, and then filtering is different. But yeah, no, it really flies good. Really flies good. Okay. And now the modeler. And so, when will DJI stop their HD system? But what do you mean stop? Please define stop the HD system. How the DJI should, or why they should stop the DJI. They basically stopped. What is happening right now? Yes, if you want to buy the goggles, you have to buy the goggles from the DJI itself. But if you want to buy the cameras and the air units and vistas and so on, you have to go to other companies because they license their hardware to Cadix and to Runcam and to Foxeer. So it's really up to you. And they are only making the goggles, or making or not making, because we don't know if this thing is even in the production all the time. We don't know how many batches they are doing per year. We don't know if they, for example, have the warehouse with like few thousand of the DJI goggles ready to be shipped to anyone. Because when you are doing a manufacturing on something that's not in the constant demand, you are not doing this in the one run, or no, you are not doing this either on one run or in the continuous delivery. You are not manufacturing the all the time, because when you hire the factory to manufacture something for you, very often the ability of this factory to produce you something is much higher than your ability to sell this thing. Like, for example, if, for example, you have enough of the capital to produce yourself 10,000 units in 1 month, because if you set up everything correctly on the production line, you can probably like spill those things out like in the super fast pace. And then it doesn't mean that you have to sell the 10,000 units of the DJI goggles in the next month. You can wait a year. You can like start selling this thing for the next 5 years. If your product is not technologically outdated in the next 5 years, you still might be like super fine with that. We don't know. We really have no idea how this thing is working. We don't know how many units in total they sold. We don't know if they think there is still a market for more units, and so on and so on and so on. So to be honest, I would not be really surprised if, for example, they made like a few thousand units for the future. They have they nicely stored somewhere in the warehouse, and for the next year there will be only like taking few units there, taking few units there, and sending them to the retailers. This is 100% possible outcome of this, because I can guarantee that they are no longer constantly manufacturing this thing. That would be like no. Check out the CHM30 HD system. C made a lot of to make their long-range system fail. John, thank you very much for becoming my YouTube supporter, a member of the great community. Let's see. Okay, see. See. FM30, I think this thing was FM30. Yeah, see, FM30. This is something that appeared last year. And honestly, it kind of appeared, and then like they did almost nothing, in my opinion, to really try to position this product, to sell this product quickly, and like, you know, to make this thing a thing. They never did that. And now they have the HM30, right? So right now they have, oh, you're not seeing anything because I forgot to switch. So now they have the CE FM30 Full HD system. Great, fantastic, outstanding. You can buy it. Great. We like to have products that you can buy, because the worst kind of the product is the product that you cannot buy. And even, for example, you get some from the Holy Bro, blah, blah, blah. So we have this thing. You pay. Now we have this in the Polish zloty, so let's quickly change it to the dollar. You pay for the receiver for the thing. let's say 500, and they have fly more combo. Awesome. FPV combo. What's the difference between those two combos? Okay, blah blah blah. OSD telemetry display, fast PD charging. Great, fantastic, superb. But don't you think that something is missing over here? What's the fly more combo? Two batteries, maybe. Who knows? Hmm. Oh, Matthias, thank you very much for your super kind donation. Love it, love it, love it. I will get me a beer. No, I got the third shot of the Pfizer, so I should not drink any alcohol. But I'm not sure if you see the same thing what I'm seeing. I don't see the camera or the goggles you connect this thing to. So you pay 500 bucks for exactly what? See in camera. Okay. Then you have the receiver. Then AliExpress is not working. Then you have to connect this to what? Where's the transmitter? Who can see the transmitter for the CE? Maybe I'm missing really something. CE FPV. And Jimmy says that he paid $300 for the whole system. No, maybe. Could you please the link and the check the video Archangel posted? Okay, let's see if we can find something on the YouTubes. Maybe there will be something in the YouTube's Archangel FPV. This one? No, I don't think this one. Which one? Okay. Okay, now we have a different link. Maybe this different link will be a better one. Okay, so what we have? Okay, we have air unit for 135 bucks. Oh, what? Sorry, what is that? But this is different. Okay, so you have to pay 500 for the receiver, 150 for the transmitter, and I still see no goggles. Okay, arcs angle. Nah, much better. Much better. Sorry, but he's not one of my usual YouTubers. So, okay. We will not watch it right now. Maybe later. That probably will make much more time. Okay. But I don't currently, right now, see this CE as the something that it's better, cheaper, actually. And if what Big Boost wrote that it has 180 millisecond latency, that sorry, this is not for the FPV. And that kinda sorry, but this basically kills it as the competition for the DJI FPV system. It just kills it. Because I still have to have some kind of the screen or the DJI goggles or whatever, or any other goggles. I have to connect this, connect that. I don't want to use this on my phone because that would be almost absurdly stupid. This is not a competition. And really, if this really has 180 milliseconds of the latency, it's usable only on the fixed wings. Only. You will not fly with 180 milliseconds latency on your FPV feed. So this is not a competition for the DJI. Absolutely not. It's a novelty. It's something different. But no, I don't really believe that this makes sense. And by the way, there are different HD systems on the YouTubes and on the China, and especially in China, that you can get. Because, for example, how this thing was called? I completely forgot the name of the thing. Like 2 years ago, I got the FPV system, digital FPV system, but I don't remember the name of this thing. HD FPV. Maybe we'll be able to find something. Not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one. Okay, I don't think it makes sense for me to search for it because like I have right now something like amnesia, but it was the whole radio with the place you put your phone in and you have the camera. I should have it somewhere. Wait, don't go. Okay, I will not be looking for it because I will not find it in my wardrobe right now, but I have it. But I have it, and only the fact that something exists doesn't mean that it will conquer the world. Skydroid, exactly. This is the Skydroid. Just search for the Skydroids. So Spychalski, Skydroid. I wonder where my Skydroid is. So yeah, Skydroid T12. It's there. You can try to use it. But somehow, well, it's not the best thing since the sliced bread. So you know, it's complicated, and I'm not really that much optimistic about that. Calabres 221. I have a 4.0 release candidate setup. Now when I download the stable, can I just copy paste the diff from the release candidate to the stable version? Yes, just do it. No need to set up everything from scratch. Because the 4.0 was a very simple release. There were no major problems. And that's a good thing, right? Okay, we still have 25 minutes, so, start posting. But where is my Skydroid? I had it somewhere, but now I cannot. Ah, no, no. I have too much crap. Charlie RC, no, you cannot paste diff from 302 into 4.0. I mean, you can, but you will get a lot of errors, and some of the defaults were changed, so it's actually advised to set up everything from scratch to have the best flying performance. Because it might not work like expected when you just copy paste everything you had in 302 into 4.0. Setting up from scratch will give you much nicer result than copy pasting. And son of flat top clear view, no, nothing to do with the clear view or anything like that. But this is the completely different link. Timmy Thyroid. I fly fixed wing and have the homemade FPV cockpit with 50-inch monitor. I didn't say it was competition for the DJI. Okay, then for you it's not a competition for DJI, but you are power user squared, like that much. And one more time, only the fact that someone is interested to use something doesn't mean that the thing will be used by others. Because I can guarantee that 99.99999% of the other potential customers do not have the cockpit with the 50-inch LCD in front. So, yeah. Prophet, I do not have such a list of the best FPV planes wings. I just don't. I still think that the mini drag is the best of the best, although I sold mine because it turned out I'm not using this. I was not using. But I cannot give you my list of the best because that would mean I would have to get my hands on every single one of them, and I didn't. And Benedict says that in my last stream I said I had some issues with sync motors on your 7-inch. I think I have the same ones. What issue did you run into? They were delivering extremely low torque on the low RPM. Just like there was not a bottom part of the no torque on the bottom part of the RPM. As long as I was like flying fast, it was fine, fantastic, outstanding, no problems at all. But as soon as I kind of like lowered the throttle a little, it was starting to wobble, and the motors are still not delivering as much torque as expected. So probably for going super fast they are fine, but going slightly slower maybe not really the best thing. It kind of got better after I played with the BL Heli settings, and really like I think I had to push even the motor timing to like 24 on 25 degrees, but I was fighting with that thing for quite a while, and yeah. Grumpy any news on the multi-rotor Autotune? Yes and no. Yes, it's raining since like last month, so I'm not able to test anything with this thing because it's raining, it's ugly weather, and you cannot really do much when the weather around you is nasty. Yeah. So yeah, Benedict, there is just something off at the low end. So this is why I'm replacing those Xings with the Emax Eco 22807. I have those in my other 7-incher, no problems like that at all. So hopefully that will be better. Because like I said, I have right now a tremendous amount of motors right now. I cannot detach the camera to show you, but I have like motors like. It took me like 1.5 months to get this amount of the motors from China, but they are finally, and yes, they were very expensive motors. Yes, that's correct. Quite soon I will be iFlight Xing free. No. But I'm like right now I have 2 motors with Xings, but after the update I will have exactly 0 quads with Xings because everything will be replaced with the Emaxes. So going back to famous Emaxes because they were cheap, and yeah. So this is one, and this is the second thing that I want to talk today, and this is connected with the RC hobby and what's happening with the RC hobby. I'm not sure if you really noticed, but I think that RC FPV hobby is the only hobby I can like think of that relies so much on the free work of other. Think of it. Can you name any paid software that is used on your drones that is not race flight, which is like, let's say, the minority. Do we have right now anything in the hobby that you buy as a product? Not the whole drone buying from DJI, but just the software that runs your custom built at home drone. And I cannot really find anything. Besides the race flight, of course, but like I said, they are the absolute minority with the things that is happening around them right now. So let's not even take them to the equation. Everything that you use, was using, and probably will be using in the next years is open source, not only on the drones, but also on the radio transmitters, because OpenTX and right now with the ExpressLRS storming your long-range radio modules is developed as the open source for free by the developers. And if you think about this, the number of the developers that allow you to do what you are doing is super low, like few dozens maybe, and I'm talking about the active developers. Like for example, when we take a look of how many developers participated in the INAV 4.0, you can check that in the INAV GitHub. There is a tab called the Insights. You can just see how many people committed something in the last few months. Imagine what would happen if, like, the most, some of them, people say, okay, screw this, I'm off, I'm done, I have life. I will not be doing this thing anymore as often or even at all for free because, for example, I would like to do something else. I'm not sure if currently the community really understands how dependent on the small group of developers doing everything completely for free in their free time only because they like to. And what will happen if they will just one day say, okay, screw it, I'm off. Why I'm saying this, and before we will proceed any further, I'm not saying screw this, I'm off, but honestly, quite often I have a feeling that this is not as rewarding as I really would like this to be. Because there is one thing of, okay, I like coding, so I'm coding quite a lot because I like it. This gives me joy, this gives me pleasure. But at one point, what you are developing kinda might change from the hobby into almost a job, a work. And very often it actually feels like a job. And then if the job is not really a job when you are paid, then is it a job or just a slavery or something like that? I'm personally in this very interesting position that what I'm doing in the RC hobby for the RC hobby for the community, I'm kind of rewarded by the fact that I'm not only the open source developer for the INAV project, but I'm also this micro celebrity, or however this thing you might call, because I have this channel, I have my viewers, my supporters. You are here because you had nothing else to do on the Saturday evening, so you decided to join Paweł when Paweł is talking for 2 hours about stuff. So this is really like the rewarding part of the whole package. But if you think about the other developers that are doing so much for you and your ability to fly better and better, then they are most probably not really getting any recognition. And so my request, a polite inquiry, is to give the open source developer more recognition. I'm not saying even like pay them. That would be awesome. I would be so happy if the developers were paid by the community, but this is a completely different story. We will not be talking about that, but give them more recognition. When you approach the Betaflight, EmuFlight, OpenTX, EdgeTX, ExpressLRS, be super polite, thank them, because people like to feel that they are appreciated. And if you are not the micro celebrity, like let's say I'm over here, they might just not get this notion that their work and their effort is really appreciated. And if you find a way to send them some cash for a beer or a coffee, that would be even better, I think. So hack your friendly open source developer when you can before they will leave doing something else, and that's all. Yeah, that's definitely all. And like I said, I'm in this super comfortable position that, well, I'm a micro celebrity. By the way, micro celebrity is the term I heard today, so I like it. I like it how it applies. But if I was only doing the development, I definitely would not be recognized, because name any other two developers of INAV by name. And by the way, two of them are in this chat right now. At least two of them. Name two. Waiting, waiting. I'm an influencer. Yes, I'm micro influencer, nano influencer. So yeah, this is just how it goes. So really, like, try to be more supportive and make the experience slightly nicer. So okay. Blackies and Mr. D. So okay, then we have three. And I even called two of them by, no, all three of them by name today. So this is how it goes. Okay, Darren, yes, Darren, Steve, very good, amazing. Blackie and Mr. D. Okay, Grumpy was also correct to some extent, at least. Constantine. Okay, Constantine. Nice, nice, Steve. You did your lesson. Okay, but let's say you are also the micro influencer, micro celebrity, so you should know. Uh, in the meantime, I have a nice donation from the mechaniker for 15 Norwegian coronas. Would it be much work to make a multi-port storage charger for Whoop batteries? Taking batteries up or down to store is a pain. Built by you? Yes, just like that. Uh, Building the charger for the lithiums is not, let's say, straightforward thing. So rather not. There are super cheap and super small chargers for the lithiums, but all of them you can just buy them on AliExpress for like $1 a piece. You just connect 5 volt on one side, connect this to the 1S LiPo cell on the other side. It will charge it, but it will fully charge it, not keep it in the storage space. So I would not even start that project. You would have to find some chipset that can do it. So no, this is not something that you can do over the weekend on your workshop. You can, most probably, no, you can, and this is quite cheap, make the device that will discharge your 1S LiPos to 3.8 volts. This is doable, this is simple. You only need the voltage monitoring and some kind of the load resistor and the MOSFET that will turn off and on the resistor. So put it into the storage, yes, but also the charging phase, no, not really. So that everything gets slightly more complicated after that. So I would not call it an easy. And 123 AMG, by the way, I love your nickname because it nicely rhymes. 123 AMG. Thank you super for your super kind 10 British pounds donation. And the question, and have I okay, did you have a look at my email regarding glide time and range calculation? In simple terms, a glide scope calculator to deprecate time to ground on the horizon range of a gliding aircraft. Yes, I skimmed through it. It's in the queue of the emails I should dig deeper in the next few something. Sorry for not like replying to you. I got your email, but no, I got your email. I'll just skim through. Unfortunately, I had no time yet to really like go deeper into it. But I think that in general, this can be done and done in a pretty simple way with some of the basic math on the was one of the OSD elements. The idea of use the logic conditions is the interesting idea because logic conditions, I made the logic conditions to do something in this kind, but I think implementing this as the separate OSD element kind of actually makes more sense. Because let's be honest, if you know the current various speed, then you can easily compute the time that you more or less still have. Of course, it would have to take, let's say, some kind of the averaging of everything to reject some, but maybe I think it's a good idea if you actually not send this email to me, but convert this email into the GitHub issue. I will gladly mark it as the not the pull request, the feature request, and because I bet that some other people will be interested in having something like that, there is a much bigger chance of someone thinking, you know what, I will spend the next weekend doing that with the INAV code, than only sending this to me when I will look at this. It's an interesting idea. Do I have time to work on that? So no, really make the GitHub issue. Maybe it will be discovered, and the GitHub issue is really like the best place to hold this kind of the ideas, so that at least we can have the discussion or something like that about this. So I think this is the best way to proceed right now. Should be straightforward computation, and I think this is nice idea. Okay, ladies and gents, we still have like 3 to 5 minutes of the stream, so let's slowly start wrapping this up. One more time, thank you very much for joining me on this beautiful evening when we could nicely release the INAV 4.0. The next live stream, I have this thing called the fpvshoppinglist.com, and here's the schedule when I show all the future live streams, and also the more or less the videos I published when and how. The next one will be on the 8th of January 2022. And there are at least 2 live streams planned for the January. And I bet in the next 3 weeks there will be plenty of the interesting developments that we will be able to share. In this year, in the December 2021, I still intend to publish 2 videos, at least 2 videos, maybe even more, on the 21st and the 23rd. And by the way, I completely forgot to add the entry over here, but there will be no new videos between the 24th and the new year. I'm taking 20, like this screw it, I'm not working. So no, and then on the new year we will see how this thing will look like even more. And because I have another super kind donation from the Penguins Can Fly, no they don't, but still. It's a nice joke. Is it possible to get the GPS data from your plane via Crossfire to the TX16S and then via the UART port output from the TX16S to an MFD crossbow antenna tracker? Yeah. I think because TX16 over here has two serial ports. So you can connect to completely different things to those serial ports. And I'm pretty sure I don't have the battery in this thing right now, so I will not turn this thing off. You can select the telemetry pass-through on at least one of those ports. I cannot guarantee this thing for 1900%, but I think I remember there was an option. So go to the sys menu on your OpenTX on your TX16S and check for the serial port mappings and check if you can set the telemetry mirror. Then I'm not sure if this will be outputted as the smart port telemetry, because rather not as the Crossfire telemetry, but I think as a smart port, but I think the MFD should be able to decode that no problem, and I think that's the way to do it. And Nadizel girl, thank you super kindly for your $20 donation. And the question is, where can you donate to all the INAV devs? That's complicated. That's complicated because I don't know, because of the legal reasons and tax reasons and stuff like that. There is not a single organization called the INAV, because you giving me $20 donation. It's a donation, so it's fine. However, if you would donate an organization, then it's all getting so complicated. But if you search for my video from last year on the INAV group, there is a video, or my old video, where I listed some of the PayPal addresses of the different INAV developers. So you kind of have to be proactive. Oh, by the way, probably the best way to support the project is to use INAV affiliate links if you're buying something from Banggood. That's probably the best way to do it. Calabres, yes, the ride dynamics is the same ride dynamics as in the EMU flight, exactly the same. And okay, so thank you very much for joining. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we see each other on the 8th of January 2022, because then we will have another one of those wonderful live streams. And for now, this is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you for being with me for the last, how many years I'm doing this already? Like 3 or 4. I think I started doing this series in 2017, 2018, for so many years. So thanks so much. Thanks a lot, guys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone, and another super nice Australian donation of 420. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, and Merry Christmas. I have this stream deck, but I do not have one button that just ends the stream. I have to press at least 2, and this will be this one.